Okay, I welcome you all with love. And I'm going to talk about something that's very, very, as everything is, pertinent, but a challenge today. Let's first start with the idea of Torah. And it means Orah, which means to enlighten. And the very important part of Torah is actually to help us wake up from the world of illusion, Amadishikra, and bring us into the world of truth, Amadakushta. That's where the story begins. Okay? Because we are living in a world of upside down reality. Now, is that new? No. You can look at China, you look at the Maoist regime, the Stalinist regime, you go back in time, which we're going to do for a moment, the Nazi regime. None of it had to do with any real truth. They created their own political correctness and acted on it as if it were the truth. And their job, as they saw it, was to get the population to accept the political correct truth. It didn't mean it was truth, but it was their belief system that they tried to put on the society. Well, there's nothing new about it. And I want to go back to a time of Elijah, the time of Ahab, who was a king after the north broke away from the south in terms of the tribes. And the issue that went on, it was a very simple interchange. The prophet at that time was Elijah holding the truth, and then we had Ahab and Jezebel. Jezebel had brought in, when she married in from a neighboring country, the energies of idol worship, and more than that, the energies of child sacrifice, the Baal. And she moved, with Ahab's agreement, moved the whole northern part of Israel, those 10 tribes, into the practice, again, of idol worship, which was a constant struggle with the people already. And then they weren't just doing idol worship, they weren't idle at that. They were actively offering their children into the fire of Baal. Literally, there was an arm of the Baal statue, and they put the child on it, and they released a lever, and the child would fall into the fire. So I mean literally, I don't mean metaphorically or figuratively. So they reinstituted it, and the people of the land got more and more involved. They built a temple to Baal, and really changed the culture back into not just idol worship, but really a Satanic culture. Well, anytime you're sacrificing children, we can talk about being a Satanic culture. And very few people stood up against it. One of these was Elijah. And he prophesied against it. And one day, in a meeting between Elijah and Ahab told Elijah, you're really disrupting our country. And Elijah looked at him and said, no, I think you have it backwards. You're the one, Ahab, who is disrupting Israel and has moved us away from worshiping the one God into idol worship and child sacrifice. It's you who have turned things upside down. And that was a very significant moment. I'm going to call it an Elijah moment. Because this is very much what's happening today. We are beginning, or have created a culture that has moved away from the Torah truth, the scientific truths of, this is what your gene program is, into whatever truth you want to believe in. And we can disregard any science of your genes or chromosomes. We can disregard any way of interacting other than the way you happen to feel about it. And if you don't go along with that, you're not politically correct, and we are going to ostracize you, criticize you, and attack you. That's the message. That's exactly what Ahab was doing. And Ahab and Jezebel, they killed the prophets who spoke against it. Elijah seemed to be very quick of foot and seemed to be able to get out of the way of this and continued to prophesy. He'd show up these times whenever Ahab was doing something really out of order, and which was pretty much all the time, and prophesize and let him know. And so the key, and this is what I'm talking about, is Ahab wanted Elijah to be politically correct, to fit his idea of what he wanted to say. And Elijah had no interest in that. He spoke truth to power. He spoke real truth to power. So he didn't speak PC, he spoke GC. God correct. And he spoke from the deep power of God speaking from within him. And as we look at the choices today, and this is the key, we maybe need to look at what Elijah did when he defeated the prophets of Baal and turned the tide. They had a contest at Mount Carmel. And there was Elijah by himself, his altar, with the sacrifice, and then all the hundreds of prophets of Baal. I don't know the exact number, maybe 150. And he said, you go first. And let's see if your God will light the fire and get the sacrifice going. And nothing worked whatsoever. And then he kind of made fun of him, and he said, okay. He made a prayer. But first he poured water on the sacrifice just to really make it interesting. And he made a prayer, and fire came down from the heavens and lit the sacrifice. Because he was speaking GC, God truth. The result was all the people witnessing it went and killed all the prophets of Baal. And a major spiritual victory was won that day. Now, what does that have to do with us? Well, we have the same issue. We can go into PC and speak the language of Ahab and talk about the culture as if it's right side up when it's upside down, or we can do GC. God correct. And which altar are we going to worship at? Because see, everybody has to worship at some point, one way or another, whether you do it consciously or not. Do we do it at the altar of Baal, the prophets of Baal, the false prophets, and live in PC? Or do we do it in the altar of Elijah, the altar of God, and be GC? And those are choices we have to make in our life. But we have to make those now. So Elijah speaks is about speaking the truth no matter what a political correctness is wanting you to say. We don't, whatever the mind control of the moment is, and that's changing because it's coming from a a different level in the society, setting what they want you to think. We call that mind control. Or we can speak from GC and speak the truth and acknowledge that we have genes and acknowledge that we, have a deeper resonance for thousands of years of who we are and what life is about. So the choice is ours. PC or GC. May everyone be blessed that we make the choice that elevates us spiritually and brings us to liberation. Amen. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Om Takulasa.